Hi there. My name is Rochelle Walker, and I'm the Executive Director for Muskoka Women's Advocacy Group. So, welcome to Chrysalis. This is our 10-bed violence against women shelter in Huntsville. And attached to the building, we also have our second stage housing program, which consists of 10 affordable rent geared to income housing units for women and their children where they can stay for up to 1 year. Also in Bracebridge, we have Muskoka Interval House, and that's our 15-bed violence against women shelter. So between those two shelters alone last year, that's not including the other programs and services that we offer, we brought into our shelters 147 women and 67 kids. And that sounds like a lot of people, and it is, because that is the reality of violence against women in Muskoka and across Ontario. So we're really fortunate to have these two shelters where we can serve women. In order to be effective, a lot of people are involved with the work that we do. So first of all, we have a really great staffing team who are trauma informed. They go above and beyond consistently to meet women where they're at and make sure that women's needs are met. We have really dedicated volunteers who do things for us like gardening, transportation, pet care, other things, and we're really grateful for them. We are lucky to have good working relationships with our community partners because we all know that collaboration is key in working toward ending violence against women. We also have a really generous community in Muskoka, so we receive ongoing support from individuals, from service clubs, and from local businesses. And we have a very dedicated board of directors. They're awesome. They are very willing and open to learning about the complexities of violence against women, and they're very progressive minded in the way they operate. And also the women who come through our doors. We see some really amazing women accessing our services, and I have to say that we learn more from them than we do from any training that we ever attend, and they inspire us to keep doing the work that we do. And last but not least, our primary funder is the Ministry of Community and Social Services. On a day-to-day basis, our program supervisor, Lisa Graham, is just so great to work with. She is knowledgeable. She answers all of our questions. She's like our cheerleader in the background. She attends our events, so we're very fortunate to have her. So our guest today is Dr. Helena Jazik. Dr. Jazik comes from a medical background, including working many years in general practice at Women's College Hospital. She was first elected to the Ontario Legislature 10 years ago and currently serves as MPP of Oak Ridges and Markham and also serves as the Minister of Community and Social Services. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jazik.
Well, thank you so much, Rochelle, for that kind introduction, and it's great to be here in Muskoka and Huntsville, and I'm so glad so many of you were able to join us today for, I think, a fairly significant announcement that I'm making basically on behalf of the federal government as well as the provincial government, because as you can see from the signs, our federal government is absolutely dedicated to ensuring that we provide more of the social infrastructure that communities need. And so for those of you who work in the violence against women sector, I just want to thank you for everything you do each and every day for the women and the children who you serve. As I said, we have a partner now with the federal government. The minister responsible for the Social Infrastructure Fund is Jean-Yves Duclos, and the first time I went to a federal provincial territorial meeting was back in February 2016. There had not been a federal provincial territorial meeting of ministers of social services for about 10 years. And Jean-Yves Duclos came with wanting some ideas. The federal government was very anxious to invest in a number of different sectors in terms of supportive housing. And a few of us provincial ministers tried to make the case for VAW, for shelters, as being an absolutely vital need in every community across Canada to support women fleeing domestic violence. And so I'm so delighted that there has now been a dedicated fund for this purpose. This announcement is part of $28 million in new funding that resulted from the Ontario government working in partnership with the federal government to both build and renovate violence against women shelters across the province. And as our own government has done, over the last 8 years, the province has provided more than $40 million in repairs, retrofits, and upgrades funding to the violence against women sector. Because I think, as everyone here knows, violence against women agencies provide crucial services that assist women and their children with the first steps to begin rebuilding their lives, and having a roof over their head in a safe place is vital for those first steps. So I've had the opportunity in the almost 3 years since I've been minister to visit some 30 shelters in the province, and I have seen them in every shape and form and every type of condition. And I've seen certainly the work that goes into the work that you do in each shelter, and I've seen really an astonishing array of different physical facilities. And that's the end of it, I think, surely. And I can assure you that every place I go, board members advocate always for more funding, which I've already been the recipient of right here. So I know that there's somehow never enough money, but I'm so pleased that Chrysalis will be receiving $22,600 to make critical investments in the shelter right here, so that women and their children who are fleeing domestic violence will have access to a safer, more secure, accessible shelter. And those were the priority areas in this round of funding, as I know you know. And safety really is a first priority. And when I heard about melting wires in the light fixtures, this did not sound very good. So I'm glad that we're hopefully going to avoid a potential fire issue. This funding that Chrysalis is getting the $22,000 from is part of more than $4.1 million, which will go to 58 shelters across Ontario. As I say, we fund some 97, I think it is, and believe me, I've seen one shelter that's basically falling down a cliff. So communities have always done what they do best. They try and help, but certainly the physical conditions are one that need improvement. We're very aware that the work that you do is an important piece of what is a social issue across our communities in Ontario, because we're very aware of the violence against women issues in our society. And so we on the Ontario government have a special ministry responsible for the status of women. And my ministry and that ministry are working together to review existing programs and services to create an updated domestic violence action plan for Ontario. So this is looking at the whole spectrum of activity to hopefully prevent domestic violence, as well as obviously offering support once it does occur. Last year, the Ontario government released Walking Together, Ontario's long-term strategy to end violence against Indigenous women. And this strategy builds on the existing work of Indigenous partners, community organizations, and government, and it reflects the priorities of Indigenous leaders and communities to support healing. And so through the Ministry of Community and Social Services, our funding for violence against women services has actually increased by 54% since 2003 when we took office, and now it amounts to $148 million in 2016-17, because we know that our investments need to recognize how vital it is that women get the immediate supports they need to move out of violent relationships and into a safer life for themselves and their children. Here we go again. And this is why we have also created Ontario's strategy to end human trafficking. The new provincial anti-human trafficking coordination office is collaborating across government with law enforcement, justice, social health, education, and child welfare sectors. And I'm very pleased that OPP Detective Steve Hudson is here with us today. He's going to be part of that anti-human trafficking coordination effort. So we've got law enforcement with us. Recently, I invited community organizations to apply for funding to assist with solutions aimed to help agencies improve and increase services for survivors of human trafficking, as well as those at risk of human trafficking. As I travel around the province, I hear constantly about the need for more affordable, good quality housing for women and their children. So we do have another partnership with the federal government where we're increasing access to affordable housing for up to 3,000 survivors of domestic violence across the province through the Survivors of Domestic Violence Portable Housing Benefit Pilot. I understand Muskoka is not actually part of this pilot, but we want to ensure that there is effectiveness. This is where we will provide support to survivors in 22 communities with the flexibility to choose where they want to live. In those communities, survivors of domestic violence have the option to receive a portable housing benefit so they can find suitable and affordable housing more quickly and not have to wait for a social housing unit to become available. You have rent geared to income here. That is tied to the unit. The idea of this portable housing benefit is that the benefit is tied to the individual so that they can choose where they live. And in some areas this may be a benefit. It is something that our government is looking at very closely in terms of supportive housing in general. And I'm sure the Commissioner of Social Services, who's here with us today, is aware of some of these discussions. Of course, the portable housing benefit moves with the woman should she wish to move. So that gives a broader range of locations. This is now within the communities themselves. I have advocated with our Minister of Municipal Affairs, Minister of Housing, that actually we should look at the potential for moving across boundaries beyond the municipality responsible, because sometimes people do have family in other parts of the province and they may want to move where they have supports in other parts of the province. But that is still to come. That's just something I'm working on. But we did make a change to the Residential Tenancies Act, which came into force last year. And so, again, helping women and their children escape domestic violence, but making it possible for them to give only 28 days' notice to their landlord, so shortening that period of leaving a rental situation. So while I'm pleased to be here today to announce not only the amount for Chrysalis House, but to tell you a little bit more about what is happening across the province. Of course, I look forward to the day that we no longer have to make investments in protecting women against violence. In fact, I really want to put you all out of a job. That would be the ideal situation. But the reality is that, of course, your services are desperately needed right now. But together, I do believe that we can build a province where everyone can live free of fear and threat of sexual violence and harassment. So let's all keep working towards that goal. Thank you so much.
So I just want to thank Dr. Jazik for visiting us today. It was really nice to meet you and be able to show you around our shelter. And more broadly, the Ministry of Community and Social Services, I'd like to thank as well for the infrastructure money we receive for Chrysalis. We are upgrading our lighting, as you had talked about, and it's also very dim. So women with low vision, this will improve them being able to navigate through the shelter. We received money for access buttons for our accessible bedroom and our bathroom on the main floor, and we'll be extending our fencing as well. So that's part of safety and accessibility. It's reducing barriers so women can access our services more easily. So thank you, Ministry of Community and Social Services, for that, and thank you all for attending. Thank you.